There comes a time when a soldier must fight, not for greedy bankers, but for what's right. Greedy politicians selling out our land, sold out fools with an outreached hand. We're in the foxhole now. You got that right. We're in the foxhole now, ready to fight. Knowledge dumping, we see their plans. Information bombs across the land. Foxhole, foxhole, foxhole. Big pharma schemes causing death and pain. Green grift techno's just a money drain. AI surveillance plans a form of control. Big brother built from the money they stole. We're in the foxhole now, digging deep. We're in the foxhole now, no time to sleep. We're in the foxhole, foxhole,
This is Nightline. Tonight, a dream vacation turning into a floating nightmare. The cruise ship marooned by an outbreak of the deadly Hantavirus.
What's happening right now is very real for all of us here. We're not just a story. We're not just headlines. We're people.
At least 3 dead. Authorities now working to stop the spread and track down passengers who've already left the ship, including to the U.S.
We do know on board that there has been some close contact between individuals where we believe the virus is transmitted.
And the looming question, could this become the next pandemic?
Welcome, y'all, to the Foxhole. What is today, Levi? Today is May 12th.
Today is the May 12th.
Yeah, 2026. Yeah, you're in the Foxhole where we stand.
At least that's what they tell us.
Yeah, where we stand our ground and watch for the enemy's next move. And today is part 1 of a 3-part series. We're going to be talking about this virus that's going on right now, the new next emergency war, and then the banking behind it. So we're going to break that down into 3 episodes, and Levi's going to help us do that. And with that being said, of course, I am Jason Barker, and our guest for the next 3 episodes of the Foxhole was going to be brother Levi Matthews. How you doing, Levi?
Hey, Jason, how are you? How are you doing? How's everything going?
I'm
Thank you
good,
for having
man.
me on.
Yeah, I got me a little power nap in and some coffee, so I'm getting awake here. So tell us what we're talking about today, man.
All right, awesome. Again, thank you for having me on. Jason and I have been talking about 3 specific subject matters which are happening simultaneously right now. Okay. One is the banking system. The second one is the war that's going on with Iran. And the other one is the Hantavirus, which has come on the scene. And we've been discussing how all 3 are connected and part of one grand, what appears to be one grand operation. And so what we've uncovered and what we've decided to do is to break it down into 3 individual shows because the subject matters are so important. We don't want to have a marathon show, but what we want to do is have time dedicated to each subject, okay, and present to you receipts, evidence, and pose questions to you that would get you to think and would do your research to find out for yourselves. And, some stuff we're going to present today is going to be bona fide. I mean, but we want you to think. We want you to realize what's going on. And one of the things that I talked to Jason about was that I've been watching since the Hantavirus came out into the news. is that on social media, Facebook, Twitter, which is now known as X, Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, and all the others, that there is a massive amount of posts, threads, movies, AI videos, what have you, that are being put out. And some of them, okay, are by AI. Some of them are by bots. Some of them you can tell are by paid actors. And then a lot of the others are from people who are not doing the necessary research and are just speaking off of the cuff. And what they're doing is they're making improper and even up to false associations with COVID, and they're creating a fear factor. And when you put it all together in a sandwich, what the people are doing are absolutely making the case for these evil miscreants who are doing this to lock us down. They don't have to present a story. They don't have to present a narrative because they've got the people to do it now, because the people are so hyped up on, I'm not going to take a vaccine again. I'm not going to put a mask on again. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. That they're actually creating the narrative for what is actually coming. So that's what we're doing. That's where we're going to start. And what I would like to do, okay, is I want to begin by explaining to you, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go over, where did Hantavirus actually originate from? Where did it come from? When was it discovered? When was it isolated? We have some patent information for you. We have some social media information for you in terms of TV programs and shows and video games that are interesting, correlation, and a timeline that when you take all of this evidence into play and you start looking at actual medical data from reputable places, you start seeing a picture develop that is not being told to you. And this is why Jason and I decided to do this series. Neither he nor I are sitting here saying we have all the answers. We do not. There is plenty that we do not know. But what I'm going to present today, and if you have questions, I encourage the questions. Jason will ask questions too. Okay. Because we're trying to get to the bottom of it. We're trying to present the facts so that you can protect yourself from what these evil miscreants want to do to you. So
let me throw something in there real quick, Levi.
Sure, go ahead, Jason.
We're not protecting, when we say protect yourself, we're not fear mongering about this virus. What we want to protect ourselves from is tyranny, and this virus is going to be used for that as a type of COVID 2.0. And I do want to talk about that. You know, this virus is nothing new. This virus has been around for a long time, and I have some stuff we touched on Saturday, but we glossed it over real quick. And even from NPR, I've got this article here. I won't put it on screen, but I'll read it real quick and then let you comment on it before you get started, Levi, just to put it in perspective of what this virus is versus what the media and all the fear mongering and who they push to the top of the promoted list, and who gets all the pushing forward on the social media to push this fear. This is from NPR, and NPR would be the one that would tell you to be afraid, to go get vaccinated, to go get masked up, double, triple, quadruple masked or whatever, face diapers. But let me read this. It says, despite a stream of alarmist headlines, the World Health Organization, and I think there's a reason for this. I think that they're not trying to push it hard like they did COVID. They're trying to slow roll it in. The World Health Organization is emphasizing that the risk to the general public is very low, as it has always been with this virus. And they say, I want to be unequivocal here This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. Yeah, they say that now. Let's see what happens in a couple weeks. And that was from Maria von Kerkhove, if that's how you say her name. Sorry if I butchered that, ma'am. The director of epidemic and pandemic management at the WHO. Anyway, it goes on and on. It says 8 cases have been reported, which that's been upgraded since this article. Now there's cases that popped up in several states, which doesn't make sense with the incubation period. It doesn't make sense whatsoever. Levi and I talked about this a couple hours ago. Oh, what happened to Levi? You just kicked yourself off, man. I think when you shared your screen, you kicked yourself off. So when I see you, I'll pop you back in. But one thing that I did note was there was some question on the couple that died on the cruise boat, the husband and wife that went bird watching and supposedly caught this thing from a landfill, from rat feces or something. And the question is, how long ago was that before they became ill? Because there's a multiple day, like a couple weeks incubation period, and they say it doesn't transmit until you're actually showing signs and symptoms. So was there enough time for them to, not only get sick, but die from it? There's Levi. Let me bring him back in here. And then the other thing is, if they did die and they brought them back on, they brought them back and the people from the ship back who may or may not have been sick, well, they weren't showing signs and symptoms. Could they possibly have transferred it to somebody who then transferred it across the country? And now we have people sick showing signs and symptoms in all these other states. Is that even possible given the incubation period? I don't think it fits. I think, and I do know they're using a PCR test to, so it's like looking for it now, right? They're looking for it. So all of a sudden we have cases. We have cases here, don't fall for the hype. Don't be afraid. And and Levi got up. So I'm going to keep going with this article here until he gets back. So they said 8 cases have been reported. This is as of what's the date here? May 7th, right? 8 cases were reported, 5 confirmed by testing, and that is PCR test. I did confirm that. The others are suspected cases. So 6, 7, 3 of them are just clinical diagnosis. It's believed the first person who fell ill came into contact with a virus before boarding the cruise. And I think this was on the return portion of the cruise because they went out. I mean, why would you bird watch before you go on a cruise, right? At a landfill. It's probably something they did, speculating here. But anyway, so him and his wife had been bird watching in a landfill outside of Ushuaia, Argentina, however you say that. She said it was possible that the man was exposed to the virus at a landfill, although she emphasized that this story has yet to be confirmed. So again, we're speculating here, just like the Wuhan theory with COVID. Humans usually contract this hantavirus by breathing in virus particles from infected rodent urine, feces, or saliva. The suspected type of hantavirus that is this man picked up is called Andes virus and is the only type known to transmit human to human. And they do, and I'll stop here. Well, I got one more thing to add before I hand it back over to you, Levi. They say that the death rate of this, and this is where the big scare factor comes in, between 30 and 40% death rate if you catch it. Now, the human to human transfer, it has to be pretty intimate or long time close to each other from what we know about this virus. For this one strain of this virus that can go human to human, it has to be pretty close. And they're starting to come out with stories now of people that went to a funeral and they were sitting next to each other. No, it's got to be closer than that, according to historical records, which have been, a lot of them been scrubbed. And I think Levi will talk about that. But the 30 to 40% death rate is likely an overestimate. Again, this is from NPR, who would scare you into complying. While those are very scary numbers, we often don't know what the denominator of people infected is because mild cases might be missed. There is no over-the-counter test for this, so it's often only sick people with symptoms who show up to the doctor and get tested. So basically what they're saying is that the 30 to 40% rate is the death rate is people who are already kind of like beyond the point of no return that actually went in and got clinically diagnosed, not clinically, but tested for this. So it could be that this happens. People get sick with this all the time, and the death rate could be as low as, I don't know, 5-10% or less. But nobody gets tested. They just get over it and they don't even know. Maybe they had a fever or whatever and went about their lives. Transmission between people has been associated with close and prolonged contact, particularly among household members, intimate partners, and people providing medical care. So I just wanted to throw that in there, Levi. I'll throw it back to you because I want a baseline of where we start versus where they're going to take this as far as their explanation. So if that makes sense.
Yes, I do. I apologize for that, folks. My water heater went out on me 2 days ago, and the guys are here installing it. So if you hear some little bit of background noise, I apologize for that. I had to get up to let them know that the faucets were open and running. They had to be closed because they're installing and what have you. So I apologize for that. But thank you. All right. Where I'm going to start, okay, is where did the Hantavirus actually originate from? And the type of virus that this is, okay? And we start in 1950 with the outbreak of the Korean War. And this was a war where the North Koreans invaded South Korea to unify the Korean peninsula completely and totally underneath communist domination. We know that the United Nations sent in troops, which include Americans, Britons, French, and others. Okay. And in 1951, there was an outbreak in the trenches of the Allied lines. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay, there we go. All right.
There you go.
Of a strange sickness and it was what they classified as hemorrhagic fever. The fever that struck the soldiers in the trenches gave them a high fever with severe bleeding. There was acute kidney failure. Over 3,000 Allied soldiers were affected by this. And the doctors who were there for the Allied forces did not know what they were dealing with. And at that time, they suspected that this was a new bioweapon or a toxin that was introduced by the North Koreans against the Allied forces. And this is very important because there is a difference between a bioweapon that is a virus and a bioweapon that is a toxin. They're two different things. And like I said, they didn't know what they were dealing with back then. Okay. What's interesting is that for 20 years, 25 to be exact, okay, there was a Korean doctor, Jason's heard of him, Dr. Lee Wuhan, or Wuhan, sorry. And
Is that who the lab was named after in China, Wuhan?
And what happened is that he went up into the demilitarized zone. We're now, 25 years after peace broke out in 1953. And to great risk to himself, he went into the areas where the outbreaks broke out. He was, during that time of his research, he was even captured by South Korean troops that were guarding the DMZ and was arrested, and they let him go after he showed his proof of identity and what he was doing. And what happened is in 1976, Dr. Lee Wuhan found in the striped field mouse that he collected at the exact place that the soldiers were fighting back in the 50s, in the lungs of these striped field mice, he found the viral antigen of the Hantavirus. Now, the reason why it was called the Hantavirus is because in the area where the soldiers were fighting and got this sickness was along the Hantan River. In Korean, the word Hantan means to lament or to regret when it is used as a verb or an action. Okay? So in the 76, he found the antigen in the lungs of the striped field mouse. And then in 1978, he was able to isolate the virus in a petri dish and then began the study and the process of finding a cure for it.
Now I have a question real quick on that, Levi.
Okay.
Because you said he isolated it in a petri dish. Now it's my understanding, and I had a good long conversation with a friend about why I was unclear about what a virus really was. I know we call it a virus. I would tend to call it a toxin because it's not alive, but it was kind of like in the middle of being alive and not being alive. Did they have electron microscope, however you say the word, microscope?
Electron microscope.
Yeah, because we can't see it with an optical microscope. So did they truly isolate it, or what are your thoughts on that?
Jason, I don't know. From all the data that I've been able to find, and see, here's the problem, folks. They are scrubbing the internet of information. Information that I had 2 or 3 days ago is gone now. And to try to find information on the past surrounding the Hantavirus is getting harder and harder and harder to do. So I cannot answer that question as to how, through the virology of the study that Dr. Lee did, how he determined it was isolated. I'm only going by the original reports, and I'm going by the reports that are written also in the CDC's write-up and the NIH's write-up on the Hantavirus. Okay.
Yeah, I was asking for the benefit of the audience.
No, that's
Levi,
fine.
so they can look into that. Yeah.
You're going to have to decide, okay? You're going to have to decide whether you believe or not, but I have more information to present later concerning Dr. Lee that's going to help form more information. So here we have a map of the DMZ in Korea. And that location that's marked is where Dr. Lee Wohan found the striped field mice that had the antigen in their lungs that he was able to collect and eventually found and isolated the virus in. Now, from Dr. Lee's information, I was able to find out exactly how he was saying the virus spreads. And what he said was that the mouse or the rats will excrete either urine or fecal matter. And then over time, both the urine and the fecal matter will dry. Something has to come along to disrupt it, because the dried fecal matter and the dried urine will turn into a very fine dust. But apparently the virus, the Hantavirus, can live, according to them, in the dust. And I have some information which raises some question about that. Okay. So if somebody, as in this picture, somebody comes and walks on the dust on a floor that's contaminated, or they sweep, they cause a disturbance that kicks up that dust, then in an aerosol form, the virus becomes airborne. The person inhales it, brings it into their lungs, and then in the moistness of their lungs, the virus finds the host, makes the connections. It is an RNA, ribonucleic acid form virus. So it's dependent upon the host to replicate it through manipulation of the DNA. It's not like the mRNA vaccine type style manipulation. It's different. We're going to go over that, but this is what the actual virus does. Okay. So here we have Korea in 1951, the outbreak. We have 1976, we have the discovery of the antigen inside the mice. Then in 78, we have the isolation of the virus. Now, it disappears. There are cases throughout the world of this as it gets identified, but they're minimal. They're few, very few. So few that it's not something that catches the eye of a CDC or the WHO or any type of medical orientation. But there is no vaccine or cure for this Hantan virus.
Or is there?
Now,
I know you're going to get into this.
Yeah, where we're going to get into that. Okay, that's what the official narrative is. There hasn't been a cure for this. Now, the Hantan virus, and that is spelled, by the way, Hantaan. That's the Korean spelling. It's named after the river. They have changed it to Hanta, Hanta. Hanta, yeah, like I said, in Korean means to lament or to regret. In Sanskrit, which is the official languages of India and Southeast Asia, the word Hanta means to kill or be a killer. Now, there are people out there who are spreading a lie that Hantan is associated with the Zionist Synagogue of Satan, Israel, and are blaming Israel for the release of the Hantan virus. There is, first off, the word Hantan is not in the Hebrew language. There is a slang term that they use, okay, for a foolish person. It's not even spelled the same. And people are running with this, and they're creating a false narrative that Israel is behind the Hantavirus when there is no tangible evidence of it, and they're trying to connect falsely a Hebrew word associated with it. There is no Hebrew word associated with it. The word virus is a 15th, 16th century word, and it is it means a poison, or it means a poisonous liquid, a sap of plants, a slimy liquid, a potent juice. And so when you take the words together and you look at it, you have a lamenting poison, you have a regretful poison, you have a killer poison. So there's some nomenclature when you get into the etymology of the words as to what this actually means. And it depends on what language variants that you use.
That makes
Okay.
sense to me because knowing how, at least from layman's terms, knowing how a virus works or how they tell me it works, I would prefer they call it a toxin. So that makes sense because it's not like a bacteria. It's not alive. It can't it can't procreate. It's just basically it's there. And if it comes in contact with the right kind of cell that can absorb it, then that RNA, it breaks down the lipid shell or whatever, or the I forget the term, lipid nanoparticles for what we make as a man-made. I call COVID a man-made virus because it works just like a virus. But once that RNA is ingested into the cell is like, hey, this is some instructions I need to reproduce this as well as the other stuff I'm doing, and boom, 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 it just dumps out copies. It's exactly what the COVID vaccine did, was create the spike protein. It didn't create the entire vaccine particle. It just created the spike protein portion of it. But now the self-amplifying will be doing that. So I believe the self-amplifying is really close to a man-made virus or toxin as you can get. It's doing exactly what they tell us that viruses do. So anyway, I digress.
Okay.
Jumped in there. I saw your screen swapping around.
Well,
so
yeah, I'm swapping the screen. It's for some reason it's not allowing to come up.
No, I'll bring it up.
So,
I saw you switching them. Yeah, that's why I was talking. I was
in regards to what Jason is saying, I want to bring out something that is very, very interesting. Okay. Here on Gavi. Now, Gavi is a website that is produced by none other than Mr. Bill Gates. Jason has a smirk on his face because he knows how Bill Gates just loves to use toxins and viruses and all sorts of other stuff in wonderful creatures like ticks and mosquitoes to cause sickness and disease. Okay.
He makes money off of it. Yeah.
On this screen, okay, it's talking about the Hantavirus. He has a whole complete page on Gavi dedicated to the Hantavirus.
When was this published? Can you roll up and see when this was published?
Yes, this was published on the 10th of May of 2021.
Okay, so it's not like something that's 2021.
2021.
Okay, so all right,
which is gonna be interesting because of what we're going to reveal soon. Okay.
So wait, just real quick, let me clarify for the audience. A disease that hardly anybody has ever heard of, that's very, like, nobody gets it in the United States. I mean, people have gotten it, of course, but it's very rare, rare, as Fauci would say. There was an article done up by Gates ahead of this current situation. And I'm gonna guess right now, Levi, there's a vaccine and a patent involved.
You would be correct. You would be correct. Okay. But here's the interesting thing. On Gavi, Bill Gates's representatives answer the question how it is spread. It says rodents can become infected with the virus, but don't become diseased. They can be a carrier, but they don't get sick themselves. The virus is mostly commonly transmitted to humans when they come into contact with aerosols from infected saliva, urine, or fecal matter of the infected rodents. Now, you remember that that's what Dr. Lee Wohan from Korea discovered back in the 70s. Okay. But what's interesting, okay, and Now, this is an AI search box. I'm not taking AI at its word. There is a company that's in the targeting host is the International Journal of Molecular Sciences. Okay. Their document is too long and it's too reedy, but I want to read something that they pulled from the document here that says, yes, RNA viruses depend on their host cells to replicate and complete their life cycle.
That's something I wanted to bring up. We talked about this on the phone, Levi. So let's just say one of these little critters gets inside the critter, okay, gets inside the rat and the mouse, whatever. It would not be able to spread from mouse to mouse because it's not replicating. So
no,
yeah,
but
according to their what they say, like it literally, because if it was replicating, it would be causing the same illness in that vermin as it does us vermin, causing disease and death.
But remember, Gavi turned around and said that it's inside the mouse, but the mouse isn't diseased, which means the virus or the toxin remains dormant for some reason until it is emitted through saliva, fecal matter, or urine. However,
well, my point
medical agency is saying the opposite.
To my point, Levi, where did the vermin, the mouse, rat, whatever, get infected from?
That's the question.
That's the question, right?
Where did it come from?
Right.
Where did and that? Okay, Dr. Lee Wuhan doesn't answer. Where did the antigen come from? That is what still escapes. It's not something, okay, that is inherent to the mice themselves. In other words,
even if it was, if this virus comes from something completely different, and a mouse happened to get a critter in it, a virus in it or two, if it passed out and got into another mouse, then that's gone from them because it's not replicating within the mouse, so it's not that's spreading. And just for food for thought for people listening, this did happen during a war, okay, and as I mentioned earlier, the coronavirus vaccine operates exactly as they say a virus operates. So we can't rule out that this is not a I don't want to call it gain of function. I think they're just building these things. I don't think it's even gain of function where they're taking something and increase. I think that they're just making them because the COVID-19 vaccine, and I know this is going to get a strike on YouTube when it finally gets there, but the coronavirus vaccine is a RNA delivery package wrapped in a lipid nanoparticle that keeps it alive to get through the system and then absorbs into a cell and then is replicated. That's exactly what they say a virus does. So how do we know that they haven't been making this and maybe this is a man-made virus?
Well, we're going to get into that because there's an event that happened that we're going to go over. But what I'm trying to bring out to you is we have Bill Gates saying that the host doesn't get diseased, it just passes through them. Yet this organization is saying that it depends on the host cells to replicate and complete their life cycle. And if that's the case, then you also can look at, okay, this, okay, and this, okay, is from News Medical. All right. RNA viruses do not typically become dormant without a new host. They usually require continuous transmission to persist. So Bill Gates' organization is saying that it stays inside the mouse, but the mouse doesn't get sick or diseased, which means the virus is just sitting there. It's not doing anything. But yet these two other organizations are saying the opposite, that the disease has to feed off of the host and it will not be dormant without a new host. So it's got to get to another host in order for it to spread. So there's some conflicting information that's going on here. And this is for you to decide, okay? And this is where, because this is going to play out, and you'll see here in a moment. All right. Let me just close this out, and this out. Let me go back here.
Yeah, that's the big question I have is if this was mice, one mouse got it. You gotta think about all the way back to the beginning. So the first mouse ever to host this thing got a couple of these critters in them. If they don't procreate within the mouse, then how does it spread to all these other mice? And then also let's take a look at this. Argentina, was it Argentina? I believe it was, where these people supposedly caught this.
Yes.
At the landfill.
Yes.
That's pretty far away from Korea.
Yes, it is.
So
but the thing of it is, it's a different, and this, to throw a monkey wrench into this. Okay, the Hantavirus is what comes out of South Korea. The Andes, ANDES virus is the form that comes out of Argentina. It's a totally different hantavirus.
Interesting.
And so people aren't making that, they're not making that connection. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit, because we had an interesting event that happened here in 1993 in the four corners of the United States, which did affect the other states. Okay. And that was the outbreak.
If you want your screen up, if you want your screen
put the screen up, if you would, please. This affected the United States. And in the 1993, there was an El Nino in the United States. Now, what they're saying is that the El Nino caused flooding rains in the southwestern United States, which caused a abundance of deer mice to develop. And from the winds, the deer mice fecal matter, urine, and saliva, which had dried, became airborne because of the winds. And there was an outbreak that was called Sinombre virus. Okay. And I have a map here from the CDC. I'm going to share that screen. I don't know if I can
real quick. I think we might have already answered this, but I'm just now seeing we've got Ashley in the background producing today, and she's been dropping questions in that I have not been seeing. But it asked, someone asked, is the Andes virus also found in Chile? Is that the same virus?
I don't know. There has been no information that I have been able to find that has been coming out regarding the nation of Chile. Everything has been coming out of Argentina, of course, because the Dutch individual, Jason, I believe, talked about this. He was actually on a 4-month bird watching expedition in Argentina. And at the end of his 4-month bird watching expedition, he boarded the MV Hondias, and he was supposedly the source. I forget the medical term they call for
patient zero.
Okay, patient zero.
Yeah.
he was patient 0 that infected the whole entire ship. But we'll get into that here in a little bit too. But on the screen here, okay, you can see this is from the CDC that shows the Sin Nombre virus that broke out in 1993. This caused 27 deaths. And what's interesting is in the four corners, 10, yeah, all around the country, okay, there were 33 occurrences of this virus. And you can see that Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Nevada had the most. There was no data available for Utah. You had some that spread up into the upper Rockies, Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, and North Dakota, some in Kansas, 1 or 2 in Texas and Louisiana, 1 in Florida, and 1 in Pennsylvania. But this was interesting because it triggered a process. There was no vaccine at this time. There was no cure for this time. And as the official record is, 27 died as a result of this vaccine. Now, let me go here. Sorry, folks. I'm
Hey,
still
hey,
learning
while you're
all of
doing
this
that,
stuff.
there was a question that Ryan had asked. He asked
Okay, let me look.
About virus-like particles or Hanta. I'm not sure what that is. So Ryan, if you want to throw that back in the chat as a question, I'm not really sure what you're asking, but we would love to address it.
Now, what's interesting, and this is from Dr. Lee Wohan's study, is that there is the old world and new world style of Hantavirus and what it attacks. In Asia and in Europe, it strictly is a mouse to human transmission, and it attacks the kidneys. But here in the Americas, North America, South America, the Andes, this attacks the lungs. However, Dr. Lo Wohan said that the ability for it to transmit from humans to humans was extremely rare.
And it was extremely intimate and prolonged contact as well. And that's what NPR was saying in their article. That's why I brought that up, because if they shift the narrative to start telling us to 6-foot distance and mask up and all this other stuff and lock yourselves at home, that's not conducive to what they have been saying all along. So we can't forget what they've reported on all these years on this crap that nobody's ever heard of. All of a sudden they're going to change what it does to you, and people will be get intubated. I mean, we have all these ventilators, right? Why not use them? And protocols and stuff. So I think it's important we're talking about this early on and showing what we've traditionally seen with this not well-known disease, because it doesn't happen that often and it doesn't spread that easily, and it's hard to catch. So we need to look at that. And if all of a sudden the narrative shifts, maybe they're lying to us. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, okay, the gentleman who is responsible, patient 0, he was on a 4-month bird watching road trip across South America, specifically in Argentina, and he brought the virus directly to the cruise ship. Now, this presents an interesting question, because according to Gavi, and according to the CDC and all the other sources, the incubation period of the Andes hantavirus is between 1 and 8 weeks before it manifests itself.
Really, as little as one? Because I thought it was like 4 to 8 weeks. Is it?
It's from 1 to 8
Okay.
weeks.
Thanks
Okay,
for clearing that up. Yeah.
that's the window that they give. Some are reporting 2 to 8 weeks, some report 4 to 6 weeks, but the officials are stating that it's 1 to 8 weeks.
That was the big hang up for me, was that incubation period of, I thought it was a minimum of 4 weeks, and I'm like, okay, so was he on the water for 4 weeks and then got to the point that he got sick and died, and then his wife eventually died as well?
I
And
have
that,
not. I tried to do research on his trip, where it took him.
mhm.
There is no information available out there as to where he went.
Well, the
Nothing.
second thing is, and I'm sure you're going to get to this, but there's now reported cases all across the U.S., and it's been less than that 4-week period since this happened, since that
Well,
those people came ashore.
it's you. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I have something to show you.
Yeah, you don't have to close your screen out and reshare it. I can just drop it when you want me to drop it, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'll save you a little time from having to reshare over and over. Just let me know to take it down, and I'll take it down. Or Ashley's in the background; she could do it.
Okay. Let me ask, before you bring it up, Jason, let me ask the people, how many remember during the years of COVID, the John Hopkins Hospital live COVID tracker, where it showed all the cases of everywhere in the world, and you were able to click on it and see how many people had COVID, how many
Yep.
deaths there were. Okay, you remember that?
Yeah, the heat
Okay, would
map,
you
the
show?
hot spots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Would you show them? Would you show the screen, please?
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Oh,
Guess what they have?
Ashley's got it.
Guess what they have created? The
Again.
same thing.
This is the
Okay.
sequel. This is the sequel. I didn't
Okay,
like the first movie.
Yeah. This map shows live time all the cases of hantaviruses in the world. And actively right now, this is live. Okay. There are 25 active. There are 7 that are endemic. And there are 3 that are historical. In other words, the people have been cured of it.
So now going back to the incubation time, this is physically impossible for this to be a result.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This raises the question, because they're all reporting, and this goes back to what I said to you folks earlier. We're going to be presenting things in their with facts and bona fide information, and it doesn't make it's not lining up with the narrative for which these people are putting out. So you're going to have to decide what you want to believe. Okay.
Now there could be another explanation, and I'm going to play the devil's advocate here.
Yes, yes, there is. There
Well,
is a
let me
possible one.
let me throw mine in there and get your take on it. Again, going back to the NPR article where they said the 30 to 40% death rate, if you come down with this disease, was likely a bad number, because a lot of people get it and don't know they ever had it. So is it possible that this is actually a more common disease than we know of, but people really don't get sick from it, therefore they don't go to the hospital to get tested, and because of this event they have decided, oh, I got a little fever, let me go get tested, and they're being flagged? And I do know that they are using a PCR type test to test for this. That's how they're verifying it. So it's either a clinical diagnosis or more confirmed as the PCR type test. So it's possible that this is actually quite more common with a very low death rate, and we just don't know it because people don't get sick enough to go get tested, or the doctors don't think to test for it,
Well, what they have here on this map, okay, this is again the CDC's website, okay, what this map is showing is the number of cases between 1993 and 2023 in the United States. And there were a total of 800 and where is the number? They don't. It's somewhere in the 830s.
I saw it. I saw it up there. Hold on. Oh,
890 cases.
there you go.
Okay. In the 30 years.
So does it say in there how many people actually died from it?
No, it does not.
And does it say if it's
oh,
the same strain?
No, it does not. It doesn't say that either.
So
Okay.
again, I just want to throw that.
Okay.
The reason I asked
Yeah.
those questions, Levi, is because there's a lot of reporting going on. There's a lot of reporting going on to drum up fear. So some of this data, yeah, although it's useful data, it could be thrown out there just to put something out there to get clicks, to get this and that and the other, and it may not even be related. This could be some other strain.
According to the website, okay, there were 890 cases.
Mm-hmm.
859 of them were the HPS. Now the HPS, okay, is the new style. So 859 of the so you're basically looking at 31 cases were the old world HFRS to the kidneys, while 859 were to the lungs. Okay. The breakdown was 62% male, 38 female. Then they go into race, which I'm not going to go into. Okay. There's nothing that stands out in the race numbers to indicate anything. Okay. Age, but it doesn't say how many people died. It doesn't. And this report was generated April 23rd of 2026. Okay, there's all this data. So it's interesting how did all 25 of these cases originate if the incubation period is 1 to 8 weeks?
Oh, and the people
how did 3 people die on the cruise ship, and how did 8 people get seriously sick?
Right, that was the question I had with the incubation period.
That's the question. And what we're going to bring out, okay, very, very soon.
Quick question.
These 2 questions.
Question.
May answer these questions. May.
Question from the chat. A dingo ate my baby. A dingo ate me baby. How many were from person to person with the Andes strain?
We don't know. They haven't released the names. They haven't released the sexes of the people. So all we know is that 3 people died. 8 on the ship had confirmed cases. 20 some odd were suspected, and 13 of the crew members came down with it. That's all we know. We don't know if husbands or wife had it. We don't know if couples had it, singles had. We don't any of that information. We don't know.
Do these people have pineapple magnets on their doors? I don't know if you know what that means. I just found out what that means, but
no, I don't.
Yeah,
know
like it takes pretty much intimate. No, I get it. On a boat, you're pretty confined quarters, pretty close to each other, but you're not sleeping together, you're not kissing each other, you're not sharing each other's glasses. From the sounds of what I've done, looked at the historical stuff, it's transferred through pretty close contact, or
well,
if
now,
not intimate, then close for quite a while.
But here presents the other issue. Okay, it is the Andes virus that they are claiming was on that ship. And according to Dr. Lee Wuhan, okay, the human-to-human transmission is extremely rare. And
yeah,
kind of like
myocarditis, right? Very extremely rare.
It's extremely rare to get. So it raises the question: can one transmit this via saliva swap, semen swap, or fecal swap if you participate in that kind of behavior?
Gross.
Or through being in the bathroom, sharing towels, or whatever. It raises the question, but we're going to find out some answers because
Well, for it to be aerosolized, as you depicted, as you read and had the graphical depiction, you'd pretty much have to poop on the floor or pee on the floor, and it has to be dried up and then disturbed to be aerosolized to go person to person, unless you're like kissing or having sex or sharing utensils or something like that. So I just don't, even on a boat, I don't see how it could spread so quickly. That's where the question in my mind is, did it really come from a landfill, or was this something that was intentionally spread? And I know you're going to bring stuff up about that. I just wanted to pose that question to the audience right now.
No problem. Now, here's where things really start to make a turn. After the 1993 outbreak in the United States, enters in the United States Army. And here I present to you the patent number 5614193. The date of the patent that it was issued was March 25th of 1997, but look at the file date, March 28th of 1994. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't develop a vaccine overnight. You don't develop a vaccine in a year, 3 months after the event took place. It doesn't work that way. So what this tells you is that the United States government, with the United States Army in specific in this instance, was working on a hantavirus vaccine. It is an RNA. Okay, it is an RNA vaccine, and this is very important. This is not mRNA. This is not CRISPR technology yet, but it is an RNA changing vaccine. It is a nucleotide sequence and gene order vaccine. And when I found this today in doing my research for you, I was stunned. Because you've heard me talk on Jason's show before that when I was in the military of 2005 and I went to get my vaccines, I got the deadly 7 that were top secret and were not told to us. And these were all injected via the air guns. And the statistics for the United States Army is that the overwhelming majority of the soldiers who got the hantavirus vaccine had an allergic reaction to it, and many of them were put into hospital. And I'm wondering if they gave that to me, because I was in 2005, and this vaccine started to be issued out to soldiers in late 1997, early 1998.
Yeah, I when I went through, I didn't get the air gun. I got the good old fashioned needle stick.
Good old fashioned needles.
Yeah, good old needle stick. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the first piece of evidence of lies being exposed. Because if you're putting in a patent for a vaccine, you've got the vaccine. And if the patent was awarded, you've got the vaccine.
Well, haven't we seen this, Levi? We've covered this before with the bird flu, with the measles, the mRNA, which is a little bit different, the messenger RNA wrapped in the lipid nanoparticle. It's cheaper to produce and quicker to produce. That's why they like this. I think there's more nefarious stuff behind there, but we could talk about that another time. But the thing is, if you take a look at when these patents were filed for, to build these vaccines for particular diseases, the vaccine is either close to being complete or complete and going through trials. And then all of a sudden we see a a pandemic of this. We saw it with the bird flu, for instance, right? Bird flu, and then they tried to drum up a measles. But I mean, it's kind of hard to push measles as like some deadly, scary thing, because you got the old Brady Bunch episode. Oh, so and so's got the measles. Let's have a house party and get everybody to get the measles so they can get their natural immunity. And life went on. So that didn't work. They really did try to do it with the measles recently, and there's such an outbreak and everything. And now we got this hantavirus, and I think that they're picking this specifically because people haven't heard of it. It's something that most people have. I never heard of this virus. My entire life, I've never heard of this virus.
No, I have never heard of it either.
Now, swine flu has been played out, right? Swine flu has been played out. The Ebola has been played out. And measles wasn't going nowhere. Nobody cared about measles. So let's find something that we have a vaccine for, and I think they're doing an mRNA for it now, and I'm sure you're going to cover that here in a bit. But
yes, I am.
Yeah, I'll shut up there and let you go, man. I'm just throwing.
No. You're okay. Just give me a moment here. I'll do this really quickly.
Sure thing.
But this is interesting. Excuse me. Immediately, okay, we have now found that they are lying, okay, to us concerning vaccines. And we're going to see that this pattern will continue. So now we have 1993 and the Hantavirus, the Son Nombre virus that event occurred. Okay. Now we have the United States Army filing a patent and getting a patent proved within 4 years for a vaccine.
And that was before warp speed. I just want people to realize that.
Yes, this is before. Yeah, we haven't even gotten to 2000 yet. And now, okay, we come to 1999 and the X-Files.
I'll throw it up there. I'll throw it up there and mute you so you don't get an echo. Here we go.
Okay.
It's loading. Give it a second. Put your mouse over the screen. Sometimes it does this.
Because I know too much about the truth.
There it goes.
Now that end of the world apocalyptic garbage, you right?
You know my work?
Let me start it over. There we go.
See this crap? Somebody knows I'm talking to you.
Not according to the men in blue.
Oh, what is it this time? Kiddie porn again? Sexual battery of a patient?
They want to discredit you for what?
Because I'm a dangerous man, because I know too much about the truth.
Now that end of the world apocalyptic garbage, you right?
You know my work? I was right about Dallas, wasn't I?
How are you right?
Are you familiar with the Hantavirus, Agent Mulder?
Yeah, it was a deadly virus spread by field mice in the southwestern United States several years ago.
According to the newspaper, FEMA was called out to manage an outbreak of the Hantavirus. Are you familiar with what the Federal Emergency Management Agency's real power is? FEMA allows the White House to suspend constitutional government upon declaration of a national emergency. Think about that. What is an agency with such broad sweeping power doing managing a small viral outbreak in suburban Texas?
You're saying it wasn't such a small outbreak?
No. I'm saying it wasn't the Hantavirus.
Well, what was it? What was it?
Hey, real quick, I just want to apologize for the low volume, folks. There's no way I can crank it up. So you want to keep rolling it, Levi?
No, you can stop it because they heard what they wanted to hear.
Yeah,
okay.
Can you just kind of summarize that, because the volume was a little low on our end.
Now, the first thing I want to say here, so you understand, okay, that, and this is probably one of the few areas where I will bring something spiritual into this. And that is that when Satan is going to do something, he just can't do it on his own. He has to ask God's permission, and he has to let us know what he's going to do. And sometimes these things are right out in the open and we can see it, but other times you have to discern to find it because it's subtle.
Well, it's like
And
the
what this
Georgia
was,
Guidestones. The Georgia
yes,
Guidestones, they were out there for everyone to see, but nobody knew they were there.
that's
Yeah.
correct. Okay. This this X-Files episode aired, was taped in 1999. It aired sometime in early 2000. It's it's series 7, episode 12. And this agent was talking to another agent who said that the Hantavirus outbreak in 1993 was actually a operation of the government, and that FEMA was put in charge, and that they used it to test. And then eventually what was going to happen is it was going to be re-released. The president was going to, FEMA was going to constitutionally suspend the Constitution, declare a national emergency, and then they were going to run the country under the direction of the president of the United States. Now, so I just want to say right off the bat, okay, I looked into this. Constitutionally, FEMA does not have the authority to just suspend the Constitution. They don't have that authority. But the president does on the bill, under the bills that they have passed under the National Emergency Act. The president does have the right to suspend the Constitution and put us into a state of martial law. That is true. Guard Goldsmith can go over this on his show because he's more constitutionally on it than I am. But the president does have that under the national. I believe it's the National Powers Act. I'm not 100% sure.
Can I throw up this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me throw this. Dave, Nature Boy from the Third Rail podcast. He put up the very first news report, had an interesting statement at the end of the segment. The reporter said the nearby NBC Army base denies any responsibilities. That was the last time it was ever mentioned. And I want to say something about this as well. My buddy, he was in Africa during the whole Ebola stuff. He went to Africa to do some aid relief. He was in the Army. And one of his coworkers came back. I forgot why he came back, emergency leave of some sort. And they were stationed out of Texas at the time. I forget which base. I think it was Fort Hood. I believe it was Fort Hood. But anyway, they found the guy dead. So he comes back, he comes back on emergency leave. He didn't have to go through the 2-week or 3-week or whatever quarantine period that everyone else had to go through because of the nature of the emergency leave. They find this guy dead in his freaking yard. And then they go in with MOP 5. And you know what MOP 5 is? That's your highest level of hazmat protection, right? And before they even went in to go test the area and stuff like that to see what happened, because the guy just came from a Ebola infested area. They basically had said, oh, this is not Ebola related, but then they go in and MOP 5 to test it. So yeah, I find it interesting, Dave, that they would put that announcement out there right away, the same way they put the announcement out that, oh yeah, he didn't have Ebola, nothing to see here, nothing. The guy just is found dead, in his yard. So I don't know. He could have went home on emergency leave and had a crack fest and OD'd or something in the yard. I don't know, but I just find it interesting how they will, before they can actually know the facts, they'll make a statement. That usually means they're trying to stave off, stuff without actually knowing if that's true or not. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, sorry to derail us there.
No, you didn't derail us. You're not derailing us at all. What I'm just trying to do something here for a second. I apologize.
All right, and we'll see if I have anything to talk on.
Okay, now,
you're good. Go ahead.
That happened in 1999. Now, 2000 came out, okay. Oops, sorry. Came out how many of you who have played Xbox or even PlayStation remember Resident Evil?
I remember. I was more of a Silent Hill guy on PS1, like the first PlayStation. But I have played Resident Evil as well.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
Resident Evil 6. Okay, Queen Venubia, I have a problem with pronouncing this word. Venubia, the ship. It was a ship. Okay. And the game put you on this cruise liner, and the ship was infected with the T Abyss virus. And the passengers got sick, turned into these horrible creatures. You had to fight all the creatures. And then eventually the ship, you rescued certain passengers. The ship hit a coral reef and sank. And that was the end of it. Now, I'm bringing up the Umbrella Corporation, which is the company in the game that created the viruses that infected the people. And I want you to look at the symbol. It is a Maltese cross in the shape of an umbrella. Now, what I want to show you next okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for this.
It's all right. If you share the entire screen, you should be able to go through tabs or just drag and drop stuff. I know you're sharing windows, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it makes for a nicer
It-
presentation, but
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not used to this sort of stuff, folks.
you
I
get it
want you
down.
to. This is the MV Hondias, and I want you to look at the logo that is on the side of the ship. It is the Maltese cross, inverted, so that the colors of the ship are the white on the Umbrella Corporation's logo and the blue. The white represents the red and the blue represents the white.
Interesting.
I have not been able to find anything with this shipping company. I have not been able to find anything with the manufacturer of the ship as to what this logo means on the side of the ship. And what's interesting, and you take it at what value you want, I cannot find any photographs. This photograph is a picture of the ship on this cruise. Every picture I have of this ship on prior cruises, that logo is not on the ship.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Coincidence? That's for you to decide.
You think somebody photoshopped that, or is this an
No,
old picture?
because I have multiple pictures of the ship on the cruise that was shut down from different angles and different places in the same location in every picture. So it's not something that can be photoshopped.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
okay. Now, once the 1990 the X-Files and the the um uh the video game were completed, okay, we settled back down into just the cases, just um this um
I just find it odd that I've never heard of this disease my entire life, and I'm a half a century old. Never heard of it. Is that uncommon? And I'm supposed to be afraid of it now because of what's on social media. Everybody's blowing it up. Um, I'm not going to be afraid of it. I mean, we talked Saturday. You were on with us on Nights of the Storm Saturday, Levi, and it's kind of like the Fear Not episode. Don't be afraid. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to mask up. I am not going to go get a vaccine over something that supposedly has been around forever, and I've never even heard of it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I
mean,
totally agree with you.
If it turns out to be something that's going to wipe a bunch of people out and force people to have to lock down, social distance, mask, get vaccines, then this is not something that's natural. It's something that is man-made, whether it be just fear porn via media to sell vaccinations and to lock people down for control. And as you said, implement some kind of soft martial law, which, really COVID was a sort of soft martial law, was it not? It really kind of was. It wasn't really enforced. If you didn't mind losing your job, you can still go do, if you didn't mind not having a place to shop at and didn't mind losing your job, then yeah, do what you want to do. But I'm not going to fall for it. Like I said, I'm a half a century old, and that's more than a half a century old. I'm getting ready to be 52 here in about 30, not even 30 days, man, like a couple weeks.
I'm not, none of the information that I'm presenting here, folks, is meant to put you in a state of fear.
No,
I don't want you to fear. Okay. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring a narrative forward to educate you that you're able to make choices, make decisions, and you're able to do your own research, that you might find something that either I or Jason haven't found that can help you know what's best for you, for what you to do for your family.
I think the point of us talking about it is to actually stave off fear. It's, if we can understand this is something that's being pushed either as a narrative, and even if people are getting sick, if it's being perpetrated by the government in order, I mean, you can call it a false flag if you want, the false flag being that the government's doing it and blaming it on nature and a pandemic. But yeah, understand what's going on. Don't be afraid. Understand what's going on, and prepare for it, but don't be afraid of it. That's kind of what we talked about on Saturday, right?
Exactly. Okay. So now what we're going to get into, okay, and is what are they really up to? And from the Brussels Signal, which is a newspaper that's in Brussels, this was written on May 7th of 2026, just 5 days ago. Korea University and Moderna have been working on an mRNA. And now we're talking about CRISPR technology. Not like the Army did back in 1994 through 1997. This is CRISPR technology with luciferase and chimera that changes your DNA in your body. Okay.
I want to speak to that real quick, Levi, because, I was talking about, I never said that viruses aren't real. And I've had that conversation with people. I said, no, I just don't know if they're real. I don't know if it's a man-made thing, if it's, I would prefer to call them toxins. But one thing we didn't resolve was that CRISPR technology and mRNA is in fact gene therapy. 100%. 100%. CRISPR, and I had this ready to share on Saturday. I'm going to read this. Let me put it on screen.
Go ahead.
I got to pull yours down. All right. So this is a summary from my Brave browser. Gene therapy treats or prevents disease by correcting underlying genetic problems. So you're talking genetic alteration. Rather than managing symptoms with a drug or surgery, it works by introducing, removing, or altering genetic material with the patient's cells to ensure the production of necessary proteins or to disable harmful ones. So you're talking about muting or adding to, like adding to, or you really can't take away, but you can shut them down, I guess. The process typically involves two main stages: delivery mechanism. Pay attention. Scientists used a vector. Pay attention, people, and think about how they said the COVID-19 vaccine works. Go read their own documentation. Delivery mechanism. Scientists used a vector, often a modified virus, with its infectious capabilities turned off to carry the therapeutic genetic material into the patient's cell. That's the payload. Okay. Therapeutic action. Once inside, the genetic material executes one of several strategies: gene addition, which is adding to your genome; inserting a functional copy of a gene to replace a missing or faulty one; gene editing, using tools like CRISPR to directly cut out and repair specific DNA sequences. That's DNA alteration. Gene silencing, inactivating specific messenger RNAs to stop the production of harmful proteins. In the case of the vaccine, it was an addition to produce a protein. Go look, just go read it. We've covered it to the world's end. We've covered it. Now, let me read what CRISPR is. CRISPR is primarily used for precise gene editing. That's all it's for. It's for altering your genome. That's the only thing CRISPR is used for. It's to alter a genome. And that's what they use to produce these mRNA vaccines. So anyway, allowing scientists to add, remove, alter genetic material in the DNA of a living organism. So yes, I don't care how many times they're going to fact check us and say it's not going to alter your DNA. It does alter your DNA. And even if it didn't intentionally do that, it can unintentionally do it. And I want to go through this. This is important, Levi.
No, go ahead. No, this is excellent, because what you're doing is you're explaining what they're doing to our bodies through this mRNA CRISPR technology, how they're destroying your bodies.
I looked this up when I saw how this COVID-19 coronavirus vaccination, and I'm saying that on purpose so that YouTube, I want you to flag me. I want you to flag me so I could take you to freaking court, because this is all straight off the internet. You can research this. It's out there. They kicked this off the first channel for quoting factual information. So I got with my PA, physician's assistant. He was a captain. Whenever I read on how the COVID-19 vaccine was going to work with the mRNA technology, and I did a lot of research into it, because I'm like, God told me in my gut, he says, do not take this under any circumstance. Find a way to not take it. And I researched it, and I came across something called reverse transcription. I'm going to play a little video here. I didn't even plan on playing this tonight, but I'm so fired up about it.
You're fine. Yes. While you're loading up the video, I just want to say something. Folks, when I talk to you, I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm collective. But if you don't think for one moment that I'm not hurting inside, angry inside, okay, and do not like what these people are doing to humanity, okay, Jason's fired up. He shows his emotion
because my soldiers all ended up taking it.
And I understand that. And I'm not, Jason, believe me, I am not making fun of you or saying you're wrong about anything. Okay. I just take my anger and my frustrations and I work it out through my faith and trying to bring the truth to people so that they can protect themselves. I can't change any of this. No one can change any of this. All of this is written. All of this is happening because it was foretold a long time ago. You can't stop this.
So anyway,
but what you can do is protect yourself as much as you can. So go ahead, Jason.
I'm trying to inform people so that they don't take the damn thing. I don't care if it's going to save your life. It's going to ruin your soul, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I'll put it out there like that. If your DNA is altered, that's the fingerprint of God, and that's just my opinion. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because that's a forever thing. That's not a this life.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I'm equally passionate, and I cry a lot. Believe me, I do cry a lot over this.
So in my research, I came across reverse transcription. I didn't get it in such an easy for now. They have all kinds of videos on it, but back then I had to read through some dry paperwork, and I brought it to my PA and I said, look, let's just say that this vaccine works the way it's supposed to work. And they put something into my cell, and I asked them the question. I said, number one, what turns it off? Because I talked about, number one, your cell's not doing what it's supposed to do. If it multiplies and you have multiple cells, say in your kidneys or your liver or whatever, that's not doing a kidney or liver function anymore, that's what we call a tumor, which becomes cancer. Number two, you're continually producing something your body's trying to fight. So now you're going to create an autoimmune problem. And both of these things have come to pass. We see it. And the third thing was it's going to alter your genome. And he said, it won't alter your DNA at all. And I said, what about this reverse transcription? And I told him about it. I showed him. I said, have you never heard of reverse transcription? I feel like at this point, I know more than the doctors know. And I know more than virologists know, because I've done so much research into it. And maybe I'm wrong on stuff, but I think I still have more knowledge than they have. They're just repeating what they were taught from a textbook. But reverse transcription is basically when you get given, and this actually happens naturally. Just to be clear, this actually happens naturally. If your body screws up and makes a bad piece of RNA and it gets kicked out or whatever, another cell picks it up and replicates it. And I think that's where we can get certain types of cancers that are naturally formed because the body made a mistake. But it happens through reverse transcription. And I'm going to play this little video here. Let me mute myself and just play.
All I want to say before you go on to this, okay? It's one thing for this to naturally happen within your body. It's a part of your body's defense. It's a whole nother ball game when these people, these evil miscreants, take this and for evil intentions lie to your face and seek to harm you, destroy you, and steal away your soul.
Yeah. So
and
Levi,
that's what gets me mad.
I'm gonna apologize right now because I did not mean to take this over, but this is stuff I had prepared for Saturday.
It's important. No, this is fine. This is fine. Do it. This because it all rolls and fits in.
Yeah, let me play this out. I want to get this DNA changing and reverse transcription out there. So I got to mute myself and play a couple things. Here we go.
The process of making complementary DNA, cDNA, from single-stranded RNA. The experiment requires RNA, a reverse transcriptase enzyme, a primer, and dNTPs. The RT experiment is also called first-strand cDNA synthesis. The steps are as follows. RNA is first incubated with a primer at 70 degrees centigrade.
Let me skip this one. This one's kind of boring for the people listening. The graphics are good, but let me read this, and then I want to play a portion of Tucker's interview where what is it? The Surgeon General of Florida talked about exactly what I'm talking about after
absolutely
millions of people were vaccinated. But here's another, and of course, I'm not trying to use AI here, but this is the summary that comes up on Brave every time. So reverse transcription, and this will be a lot quicker than the video. Reverse transcription itself does not directly alter existing host DNA. Rather, it converts RNA into complementary DNA, cDNA, which is then integrated into the host genome by the enzyme integrase. This integration can alter the host genetic landscape by inserting viral DNA into cellular chromosomes, potentially disrupting genes or converting oncogenes into oncogenes, particularly in the case of retroviruses like HIV. And I don't know if you've ever watched any sci-fi things, but a retrovirus is often referred to as a man-made medicine to change DNA. And it's referred to in Stargate, in Star Trek, all these things. Retroviruses are basically a man-made, basically what the COVID-19 shot was. In molecular biology and genome editing, engineering reverse transcriptase are used to deliberately alter DNA sequences. I mean, this is literally, and what's this reference from? This is, let's see what this reference is from right here, if it'll let me. It's not letting me pull up the reference, but Brave usually has pretty solid references. But again, it's editing by synthesizing new DNA sequences based on RNA guide, which is the instructions, allowing for targeted insertions, deletions, or substitutions without double-stranded breaks. Anyway, let's get on with it. I'm just trying to prove that this stuff is gene therapy. That's what CRISPR was designed for from the get-go. It was designed for gene therapy. My thing that I don't understand is, how do they know which cells it goes to? They don't know. It's like a shotgun. It's just going to scatter. I don't see how they can possibly cure a disease if it's in every single one of your cells. You have to change every cell in the body. And I don't know how you do that. RNA dependent. So this is just going over and over the same thing. I'm just telling you, reverse transcription has the ability to change your DNA. And I'm going to play this. If I can find it, where the heck was it? Here it is. All right, here's the headline before we play the article or the interview. Florida Surgeon General tells Tucker it's absolutely possible for mRNA shots to change DNA. So, hey, it's not just Jason Barker out here that doesn't know what he's talking about. I said this stuff 2 years before this guy said this. And he's the Surgeon General of Florida.
And I've been warning about this even before the COVID vaccine came out. And I want to make something clear to everybody, okay? They used it in the COVID vaccine, but it is the mRNA CRISPR technology that they used. And they are far beyond COVID now in where they're using that CRISPR technology. It's not just in your COVID vaccine anymore.
Yeah, let's talk about that when we're done with this little segment here. I want to read what Hempcar, and thank you, Hempcar, for the Rumble rant there. I want to put it on screen. Where is it? I'm trying to find it. I'll just read it out.
It's like 10 above the end of the chat.
Yeah, it's so small on my screen, man. Okay, so I'll just read it. He said, just put some .gov studies saying the shots via reverse transcriptase alters your DNA in the comments. Dr. McCullough liked it when I put it on his page. So yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. The information is freely available out there. I threw it to my doctor and I said, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? You're telling me this is safe. You're telling me it's not going to do this, but I'm showing you this saying that it will or potentially will. I don't even care if that was the intent. And maybe it was the intent. Maybe it wasn't the intent. I don't know. The thing is, the possibility exists. So I'm not having it. And I didn't want my soldiers to get it. I didn't want my family to get it, because you're playing with a firecracker here. You're going to blow your hand off and then find out after you're missing fingers that, oh, that was a bad idea. No, not doing it.
I haven't met one person, Jason, yet who went and got it, had the foreboding not to get it, but went out and got it anyway, who then turned around and said it was the right thing to do.
No, but I know a lot of people that regret it. And they came to me, literally grown men, twice my size, sobbing, saying, what can I do? What can I do? There's nothing.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing. Once that changes your DNA, you are done.
I told him to pray. I told him to pray he got a batch that was just a saline or something, you know. Anyway, let me read this before I play the video, because I'm not trying to take the show over. This is just something I'm very passionate
you're fine.
about.
I appreciate this. I want to get copies of this information from you, by the way.
Yeah. All right. So the guy's name, the Surgeon General of Florida, his name was, I don't know if he's still the Surgeon General or not, Joseph Ladapo. I can never remember his name, but Karen always does. Karen knows his names. He says there is a spiritual war behind COVID shots and other pandemic responses. I agree with that. And I'm going to read this right here in the article here. I remember at the beginning of the vax mandates, this is coming from him, there were people on the fringes, as we say, who raised questions about the potential of this drug. This brand new, this novel vaccine, which wasn't really a vaccine, and that's important. They changed the definition to make it fit in there to get the UAE, right? Basically the approval, right? The emergency EUA. That's it. I got it backwards. EUA. This novel, which okay, wasn't really a vaccine to affect people's DNA. That's from Carlson. Carlson said, and they were immediately described as crazy. Asked if it was conceivably possible that the mRNA vaccine changed people's DNA, or could Ladapo said it was. It was absolutely possible. I mean, let me just play the video, okay? Because they talk about this in here. I don't know how long this is, but I'll play it.
By the way, Jason, he is still the Surgeon General of Florida.
He is?
Yes,
okay.
He still is.
I'm surprised. But I do know that DeSantis he hasn't banned the use of it, but he has made it like where it's not mandated. So that's at least one step forward for DeSantis. But I know Ladapo was actually wanting to ban it. So we'll see where it goes from here, especially with these new ones coming out. And I want you to talk about the other medications, anesthesias, stuff like that are falling under this mRNA umbrella. And people won't know it. So we'll get into that here in a bit. Let me go ahead and play this. I got to mute myself right quick.
Joseph Ladapo is a physician. He's got credentials equal to any doctor in the United States. He is now the Surgeon General of the state of Florida. So on Twitter, he recently announced the results of an analysis conducted by the Department of Health in the state of Florida, and it found a, quote, 84% increase in the relative incidence of cardiac-related death among males 18 to 39 years old within 28 days following the mRNA vaccination. So that is a bombshell. 84% increase in death. So you'd think that would be leading the New York Times, but no, everyone's trying to make those facts go away. Twitter removed that tweet, which described the findings. Twitter also suspended Dr. Ladapo's account. Now, even in this country in 2022 under Biden, people thought that was crazy. So there was an outcry, and Twitter later reversed the decision. But the fact they did it in the first place tells you everything. Dr. Joseph Ladapo is the author of Transcend Fear, a blueprint for mindful leadership in public health. He joins us tonight. Doctor, thanks so much for coming on. The response to this is shocking. You would think people would want to know, because unless I'm misreading that summary, this is a big deal finding, is it not?
Tucker, it's an enormous deal.
Just real quick before we get into the DNA altering potential, they just talked about heart problems. That's enough alone, right? That's enough alone. And I did see some studies, which I was going to bring up on Saturday. The myocarditis in newborns went up by like some 50-something% or something. I was just looking through some random stuff. I did find, I often talk about how the CDC doesn't show the all-cause deaths numbers anymore. They kind of do. There's a new dashboard they have, but it's kind of a rolling weekly thing. So you can't look at it in context, kind of like global warming. There's a definitive start point that they set, and it looks like we're on a rising trend. But if you look at the entire history that we have, you could see that we're actually very low when it comes to carbon and for global heat. The same thing they've done since the COVID vaccines rolled out. We had all-cause deaths were on a downward trend for a couple years until COVID came out, and then they kind of spiked up, and that could be because of COVID. I don't know. It could be because of the hospital protocols. But then you can see immediately after that, when the vaccine was released and each subsequent booster, there was a spike in death. and then those numbers went away. So it only goes from 2023 onward now, but it's stabled, stabled out where you can't see anything before 90. And I had a long conversation with ChatGPT on this, where I'm like, I want to see a comparison from, like, say, 5 years before 93 next to this. You can't get it. You cannot get it unless you have that data. And I do have that data somewhere on my computer. I just have to figure out where I saved it. It's kind of like going back before the point where they argue this is where we should be, which was like a global cooling low, like very low. And they're like, this is where we should be. So it looks like, oh, everything's going crazy high. But you look at it in a larger perspective and you're like, no, we're just getting back to normal. Whereas it's the opposite with the all-cause death rates. It looks normal right now, but really we're elevated compared to where we were before they changed their reporting. So you can't go get it now. If you do get this new dashboard, it's such a pain in the butt to try to figure out how to use, by the way. But I did get, found out that there is a way to find some of the statistics. They're really very, very wonky. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this. I just wanted to say that, heart problems are bad enough without even considering altering your DNA. So let's continue.
I talked to people, and there's been so much confusion, as you know, over the past few years, that people have trouble sometimes even identifying when something has so clearly crossed the line. So yes. I ask people sometimes who are still, hemming and hawing about this, if this vaccine, if it had been known 2 years ago or so that this vaccine would increase cardiac deaths in young men by 84%, would they have approved it? The obvious answer is no. You would never give something to someone who was young and healthy and increase their risk of dying from sudden cardiac death by 84%. But people are often, their response is, well, I don't know, COVID's pretty bad. Yes, COVID can be terrible, but we don't give people medications that kill them. So there's been so much confusion, but yes, that was our finding, and it was a surprise, but that's what the numbers show.
Well, it's shocking, and it has, considering, 200 million Americans took this drug at gunpoint, they were forced to. This has massive implications. There are 50 states. Why is yours the only that's telling us this?
Well, I think, frankly, it's because we are the only one that's asked.
I think this might be the wrong clip. This is where he's talking about the myocarditis and pericarditis. Let me see. Let's try this one. I think this is the right one.
Do you think it's conceivably possible that the mRNA vaccines change people's DNA, or could?
It's absolutely possible. I wouldn't have issued this call to halt their use if that wasn't possible. On a factual basis, it is absolutely possible. There's zero question about that. Now, the real question is whether it is happening, if it is happening, the degree to which it's happening, the location of affected cells, and the potential for that to cause, whether it's cancer or heritable characteristics, or that is to say that, is it affecting things like a woman's eggs or a man's sperm, such that it could be passed on, or whatever else it potentially could be causing. But it absolutely is a possibility. There's zero question about that. The real question is whether it's a possibility worth investigating. The obvious answer is yes.
All right. Yeah, sorry to take you down the rabbit hole in the other clip. That was queued up for something else and I'd forgot. So anyway, there you go. That's my rant. That's my portion of the show tonight, Levi, to rant on.
No problem. No problem. Well, if you put the screen up for me, we'll go back to that. Okay.
Gotcha.
This article came out on May 7th of 2026, which is 5 days ago. Okay. Now, I want you to remember something. The Hantavirus outbreak in the United States was in 1993. When you fast forward to 2026, That's 33 years. 33 years. 33 people in 1993 came down with it in the four corner states. Okay. 27 died. And 33 years later, we have Hantavirus. Now, what's interesting is that they reported that the Korean university, the same exact university that Dr. Lee Wohan works at, has been working with Moderna, one of the key players from the inception of mRNA technology that was started in the 1950s. They have paired together and have been working together on an mRNA CRISPR technology hantavirus vaccine since 2023. But wait, it gets better. Because here we have, and this exposes all the lies of the mainstream media. This exposes all the lies that are on social media. This exposes all the lies that are on on videos. This exposes all the lies everywhere. Here is the United States patent number 2025-012-7870A1, filed on September 15th, 2022, and was approved on March 13th, 2024, published April 24th, 2025. They had the vaccine even before this came out, and they've hidden it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is known as a Hegelian dialect.
And I want to mention again, you went over the history of outbreaks, supposed outbreaks. Use some scary colors on a map, but the very, very out of millions, if not billions of people, a handful of these cases. And these vaccine companies do not spend this kind of money to develop something that's going to be sold to a handful of people. They're not going to do that. So
that is correct.
The fact that and this is what I saw with this measles stuff, this measles scare they tried to push a year or two ago. They had a patent filed and produced or were working on an mRNA based vaccine for measles. And then, well, what do you know? We have a measles outbreak, supposedly. Okay. The same thing with the bird flu, the same thing. I mean, swine flu, all this stuff. So the fact that they've created this, spent the money and the time to develop a vaccine, and typically a vaccine, this is post warp speed. So maybe they didn't feel like they would have to spend 10 years or 12 years to do the testing. But the fact that they spent the money and the time anyway to produce a vaccine for something that nobody's ever heard of, or most people have never heard of, is just ludicrous, unless they knew it was coming and they want to be right there at the table, like when Trump had everybody sit around the table. When can you get one? 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 Like a bidding war. Oh, we already have it ready. We're going to have your body produce the vaccine. That's what they figured it out. They figured out how to create the solution, and then whether or not the problem is real or not, the media will make it real in your mind, and then everyone's going to rush out to get the product. And there's something else that I haven't mentioned on any show. I have not mentioned this, but when they were giving out the free shots for everybody for COVID, they were free for you, but they really weren't. they were getting paid per shot via taxpayer dollars. And when that money ran out, the price of the shot tripled. So if you want to go get your booster, I mean, you may get it for free, but it's coming out of your insurance company's money, which means your insurance rates go up. There is no free lunch, people. There's no free lunch. But I did find it interesting that when we were in the midst of the emergency, and I wish I had the numbers. This was something I looked up like 2 years ago, and I had the information then. But there was a price per shot, per injection that they were getting when it was pushed by the government. But then when that stopped being pushed, and then the media just pushed it, and so it was up to you to decide, the price actually like tripled to get that shot. I'm not really sure who paid for it, but I just know that they went through that period of making not a whole lot of money per injection, but on the tail end, they saw a heck of a lot of money, which is why the booster, the bivalent, the next one, oh, the next strain, they're getting paid more and more and more for each one of these shots to keep us in, keeping us in fear and pushing these jabs. They figured that out. And so here we go now with the same. It's just, like I said, this is a sequel. This is COVID, the sequel.
It's wash, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah. And I just want to say, Harry Hart left us a little rumble rant and says, natural is the way. I completely agree. And there is something to be said about that. They talk about viruses mutating, and the next strain, and the next strain, and the next strain. You know that's actually caused by vaccines. People don't understand that. But when you vaccinate people, the little critters that don't get nabbed by the vaccination, they're like an anomaly, right? But then they're allowed to spread, and then you have something. So it's kind of like a genetic mistake, I guess you could say. So it's a slightly different version than the other one. And then, your immune system isn't trained up for it, and then it spreads rapidly and then transmits according to what they say. This is not Barker saying this. This is what they say.
And it's not me saying this either. But to kind of coin a phrase, Jason, but we have even more. Let's see what's behind door number 2.
Do I have to pay separate shipping and handling? I mean, if I act now? So, all right. Oh, wow. Yeah, natural is the way. I mean, I'm not against medicine. I just think homeopathic and natural is better. But I think that they are actually making us sick to sell us the solution in most cases.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So now I have to present this information to you, and I have 2 sources I'm going to show you.
Oh, yeah, you told me about this.
Back on December 9th, Monday, December 9th in 2024. And please note that this is after the patent was already released. March 13th, 2024. So they already had the vaccine for this, okay? In the country of Australia, out of Queensgate, a laboratory was broken into, and 323 vials of virus samples, okay, 2 of which were the Hantavirus, but it was souped up, super concentrated. The vials that were stolen were Hantavirus, Hantavirus, which is transmitted from horses to humans, and the Hantavirus, which is a rabies virus. And none of these vials have been found. They do not know what has happened to them.
That's interesting because rabies is one of the new mRNA injectables now for your pets. It's we cover that rabies, canine influenza, and there's a third that are being administered right now to your pets. So that gives shedding a whole new meaning. But yeah, if you're taking your pets to the vet and you're getting those shots, and I think the rabies is like an annual I believe that they do an annual booster on it. Yeah, you're getting shed on.
So here's the Fox News. Deadly virus samples went missing from lab in a major biosecurity breach, says authorities. Health officials have launched an investigation into what they call an unacceptable lapse. Are you freaking kidding me?
Let me ask you something, Levi. So you and I are out doing heroin on the streets, right? And you're like, dang, man, we need some money to get some more heroin. Let's go rob something. What's that bioplate? Let's steal some of these vials. Don't even know what it is or what to do with it. Why would somebody break in and steal this stuff? You know what I'm saying?
For what
point?
For what reason? For what reason? Okay.
Right.
Now this, okay, I have to raise the question. Because all the info, go back to the cruise ship. The powers that be say that this patient 0 was somebody who was walking in Argentina for 4 months on bird trails and brought the disease on board ship. The disease, by their records, not because I say so, not because Brother Jason says so, their records state it takes 1 to 8 weeks of germination before the outbreak of the disease, depending upon the individual. And yet, as soon as they left Argentina, the ship breaks out, 3 people die, 8 are terribly sick, 13 of the crew members test positive for it. So by the time they're all said and done, there's 20, I think it's 27 were confirmed having it. Okay. How did they get it?
Well, and the historical, before they remove it from the internet, look at the historical records of this. They talk about the intimacy, the closeness, the amount of time spent together. Do you think that the staff, the 13 or whatever staff that got infected was like hanging out in their room with them for like 4 hours? You know what I'm saying? It reeks to me of an intentional, either it was intentionally spread.
I'm only asking the question.
Right.
Okay. I'm not saying that this is what happened. I'm not saying that this was done, but is it possible? And you'll have to answer this for yourself.
Yeah. There is one other possibility.
I'm going to get into that one next. I know where you're going. Did they release some of the Hantavirus into the air conditioning circulating system for people to breathe in on the ship?
There is one other possibility, though, Levi, that we have to consider. We have to consider that the ship had rats on it that were infected.
Well, and that's an excellent point. But here's the problem. They brought and they searched the ship from bow to stern, and they found not one mouse, not one rat, not any fecal or urine traces anywhere aboard the ship.
It's just a question I had to ask because we can't rule that out,
No. I get that. But even then, they would have had to have come into contact with it. Now, they could have come in contact with it by eating food that was contaminated by the fecal matter or the urine, or if the mouse sneezed. Okay. But again, by their information, the ingestion period is between 1 and 8 weeks, depending upon the person. So
if they all got sick,
doesn't match. Yeah, but it doesn't match.
That's what I'm saying. If they all got sick and that incubation period varies, even at the shortest possible incubation period, not everyone's going to have that. Some people are going to be at the 4-week mark, 5-week mark, 6-week mark.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
they all got
But
sick
now-
around the same time.
but
So
now there's another that presents itself. Okay. And we'll never know the answer to this, but we may be able to determine it as we watch what happens, because in the appendix list of reissue order 5.3.6 of Pfizer, which I'm going to pull up now.
I don't know if you saw, but JJ popped in here. He broke in earlier.
That's okay.
He wanted to give
And
people a hug.
if you would put that
Yeah,
up
sure
for
thing.
me, Jason. Okay. This list, okay, beginning on page 30, appendix number 1 is the list of adverse events of special interest of the Pfizer COVID mRNA CRISPR technology shot. These are all the diseases, viruses, sicknesses that can result as by getting the shot. And when you scroll down to page 33,
What, page 30?
Again,
Page 33.
Okay. Okay. Page 30 in alphabetical order. There it is, right there. Hantavirus pulmonary, that's your lungs, infection. So this now raises the question, because the mRNA CRISPR technology has nanotech in it, which records the serial number lot of the vaccine, assigns an IP address to you, a MAC address to you, and has a Bluetooth signal, which is able to be communicated through the 5G cell phone towers. And that's the reason why you were locked down, that they could put all those 5G towers up without you seeing it. This is fact, folks. This is not me in conjecture. This is all written in the patents. They tell you this, okay? Did the chimera in these people contain the hantavirus pulmonary infection codex? And was it remotely activated through cell tower communication that these people immediately began to cause the creation by their DNA being changed and now replicating the codex? Did they start getting sick with hantavirus?
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about that. Now, the 5G, I did think that was odd that was fast tracked during the lockdowns, because those people putting those towers up should have been locked down like the rest of us. But they went up.
What's interesting, okay, if you want to throw another into the mix, Donald Trump several weeks ago in one of his White House hearings spoke about 6G coming into play. And in that video, he talked about 5G during that lockdown. And when he had the 6G, he mentioned, is 6G going to be able to read through your skin and pull out information? It came
said,
out of his mouth.
He said, see further in, or something like that.
Yes.
But I do want to say that we can for 100% say that they threw all them 5G towers up and turned them on. They were putting them in before COVID, but they continued. But I mean, as far as the nanotech and all that, we can see the patents, and there are people who've done the research and have, I forget her name, Sasha Latapova, maybe. It's somebody that Dr. Jane Ruby has interviewed multiple times, has been looking at these samples for multiple years now, and there is something happening. What it is, I don't know. I do think it's nanotech, but can we prove it? I don't know. But if you're putting 2 and 2 together and you look at the patents and you're looking at the stuff that hasn't been injected in anybody, it's just been incubated within a petri dish over multiple years to see what it does. Japan threw out like millions of vials because I guess they didn't keep it cold enough, and it precipitated black particulates that reacted with magnets. I mean, I'm just staying away from it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say for sure, yes, it's nanotech and you're getting a IP address. Although I have seen some weird stuff. I've seen some weird stuff when I was on my phone. But anyway, I'm not going to go there.
Okay. Yep. No problem. Now, I want to show you something else. Okay. If you could pull the screen up for me, Jason.
Yeah, sure thing. It's still here. I just got to bring it back.
Okay. All right. This is a can of Lysol spray. I bought this Lysol spray back during COVID. I went on a huge shopping spree and I bought a lot of stuff for supplies. So this can of Lysol right here is greater than 6 years old. And it is the same label that you see in the picture. And it says right here where my finger is, okay, it's the same location on the can, Hantavirus. They've been putting it in Lysol and they've been putting it in the Clorox wipes.
Is this the ingredient list or what it's good for?
This is a list of all that it kills.
Okay.
That blue section is all that it kills.
Okay, I had to clarify that. Okay.
And it lists everything. Okay. And on that list, it kills Hantavirus.
A disease that nobody's ever heard of.
That's correct. Now wait. Now I have some other questions for you. But before to present information to you, but before I go, I just want to say to you folks.
Real quick, why are some of these bolded out? Like RSV is bold, rhinovirus type 39 is bold.
Okay. All the bolds on here are Bordella pertulis, which is whooping cough.
Are they just the more common ones?
Food poisoning, staphylococcus, skin infections, avian influenza,
bird flu,
H1N1 bird flu. Okay. Yep. Coxsackie type B3 virus, which is the hand, foot, mouth disease. Respiratory syncytial virus.
Well,
rhinovirus.
Without going through them all. Yeah, without going through them all.
It's major. Now I'm just curious.
Well, the reason I was bringing this up is that even though, most people have never heard of this hantavirus before, it's possible that they'd list everything and then they've bolded out the common ones to catch your attention. So maybe it's not that odd they would put it on there. However, I mean, considering how many people have actually got sick from it or even died from it in the past, that is kind of somewhat odd to put it on the label and say, hey, this stops a meteor strike on your house, like something that's like remotely, 1 in a billion chance of happening or less. It takes up, space on the can. So that is kind of odd. However, it's not too odd, I guess.
No, but it's just another piece into the puzzle. Yeah. Now the next slide I want to show you, okay, is this. Okay. These people have created a pattern.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Okay.
So there's people that are going to listen on audio. Read or tell us what we're looking at here.
This graphic, wake up people every 6 years like clockwork. In 2002, we had the SARS, the severe acute respiratory syndrome. 6 years later, we had 2008 swine flu, the H1N1 influenza A virus. In 2014, 6 years later, we had Ebola. 6 years later, in 2020, we had COVID-19. And here we are 6 years later. Are we on the precipice of hantavirus, pulmonary syndrome? Now you take into account that Bill Gates has been screaming at the top of his lungs since before COVID that there was going to be many, 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 many more pandemics that we were going to have to do with. Herr Obergesundheitsführer Klaus Schwab has been saying the same thing, that, amongst his, you will earn nothing and you will eat the bugs, okay? This is
Well, they always say it's not a matter of if, but of when. And somehow it's
when.
like insider trading. They know what the next one's going to be because they've applied for the patents and developed the vaccine right before it happens. And this is like clockwork. Put that graphic back up. I want to look at it again. I want to see that
hold on a
again.
second.
This is crazy. That is absolutely insane. And they're blaming this stuff on global warming. This is why. And so that there's a double tap there. And what is Gates into as well? He's into carbon reclamation and carbon credits and all of his green stuff and his vaccine stuff. He is the epitome of the forced industrial revolution. And the forced means everything is squished out and their stakeholders get to this fake industry. That's not sustainable, by the way. It's not sustainable. Look at Solyndra. Look at all the solar companies and green energy companies that went out of business. It is just a grift, but they're going to grift people to the point that there's nothing left to take. They're going to fleece us dry, which they've already done. So I don't know where they're going to go from here. This is why they're going to, and that's going to be part of this series, is we're going to get into the war, because the war is what keeps the economy afloat. And then after that is the banking.
Banking. That's right.
Yeah. So this is actually a part one of a 3-part series. And I know we're heavy into the the germ games.
But yeah, I just have one other section to go over with you, Jason, and then that's I've spent.
And I do want to announce this for those that might be not watching but listening. And maybe not paying attention to chat, but our friend Algorithm, he's going to be live in about 40 minutes. And if you want to get the address, you can either go to thenightsofthestorm.com to the Friends tab. And I don't think I have them on the schedule yet, but you can go to the Friends tab and get the link. But that's going to be in 40 minutes, which is 10 o'clock p.m. my time, which is 11 p.m. Eastern. So go check out Algo. He's always got great conversations. All right. Sorry about that. I wanted to throw that in there because Sweets has dropped it in the chat. So
no problem. Now, what I want to show, what I want to talk to you lastly about, okay, so just as a recap, okay, we know where the Hantavirus came from Korea. We know that it was discovered then in 1951. We know that the antigen was found in 1976. We know that it was isolated in 1978. We know that there was an outbreak of it in the United States in 1993. 27 people died because of it. There were 33 cases of it. We know that the United States Army filed for a patent for a vaccine in 1994. It was approved and published in 1997. So the military already had a vaccine for the hantavirus prepared before they filed their patent.
And they probably tested it because of the method that they're saying they're injecting people with. It was the same method they were using back then to do the multi-shot in the military.
That's correct. Okay. 1999, we had the X-Files talk about hantavirus and a lockdown. In 2000, we had Resident Evil Revelations, the 6th in the series, with the T-Abyss virus aboard the ship. And the logo of Umbrella Corporation is on the side of the MV Hondias, the ship that broke down with the hantavirus. We know that they created a vaccine for the hantavirus in spite of all the news, all the pundits, all the social medias saying that a vaccine is in the works, setting us up for what appears to be another Operation Warp Speed. Donald Trump claiming that he is again the father of the vaccine, which is a lie. This lie gets perpetrated all the time, and I hate it. He's not the father of the vaccine in terms of COVID. Okay. And he's going to position himself as the hero. And I expect the same number of people who got the COVID vaccine to get the hantavirus vaccine.
I think it's going to be considerably less uptake, Levi. I think there's a lot of people that have regret.
I respectfully disagree, and here's why I say that. Because these evil miscreants have learned a lot from COVID and the lockdown. Do not anticipate this next lockdown to be as easy as COVID was. It's not. And I'm not going to get into that tonight because we're going to deal with that coming up in the last show called The Banking. But you're going to see how the hantavirus, the war in Iran, and the banking, what they're doing with the banking is all going to come together. And when they bring it all together, okay, you got the midterms coming. Don't forget you have July 4th weekend coming up. Okay, folks, we're in trouble.
Yeah. Not peddling fear here. Just
yes, I'm not peddling
information
fear,
so you can
I'm
prepare accordingly.
It's correct. Okay. Now, the question I have, and I want to present this information to you. So, we'll put up the next screen.
Okay.
Okay.
And I do want to thank Ashley and give her credit. Ashley's been sitting backstage keeping track of everybody. So I appreciate that, Ashley.
Okay.
What are we looking at here? Oh, rat population.
Okay. What we're looking at here.
Dang, California got some rats.
is the World Population Review website rankings. This is the rat population by state. Now, this presents a question. If somebody walking in the woods stumbles across droppings, whether fecal matter, urine, or saliva, and by the odds of it just kicking up enough dust and staying in it that they breathed in this matter as an aerosol and got the hantavirus, the Andes virus, okay? How can the cities of New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and others have all these rats? And I'm going to show you information that crap and piss and sneeze all over the place, get in the food, and yet there's no hantavirus breakout in any of these major cities year after year with all these rats. There's no major outbreak. There's no pandemic. New York, over 20 million rats. And most of that is New York City.
Well,
Chicago.
I think you're missing one. Where's DC on here? Because I think that should be like very deep purple.
They don't. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
That's where all the rats
are. They're different kind of rats. Okay.
Swamp rats.
Illinois, 8 million. California, 25 million. Texas, 15 million. Florida, 10 million. All the states you can look at to see how many rats they estimate each one has. Okay. From the Daily Mail. Trust it if you want. This is dated 18 September 2024. New research reveals top rat infested cities other than New York City? Is your city on the list? New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. There you go, Jason. Chicago, Houston,
Okay.
Boston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Atlanta, Baltimore, Sacramento, Stockton, and Modesta, Denver, Hartford, New Haven, and Cleveland,
Oh, I lived
Akron,
in New
Ohio.
Haven. I didn't know New
Okay.
Haven had rats. That's kind of crazy.
I have to ask this question.
Where are the
How
outbreaks?
is it, okay, that all these cities could have major rat infestation problems and no hantavirus? I can't, that doesn't make any
Well,
sense to me.
the only explanation is, again, to play the devil's advocate here, the only explanation is that the rats here in the U.S. don't carry it, and people are catching it offshore and bringing it back, which makes sense. But it makes sense with the long incubation period. That does make sense. But they also say that human to human transfer is extremely rare. So how do we have so many outbreaks right away?
That's correct.
And you'd have to put it to a local source to have that many outbreaks and not a human to human transmission.
Here's another question I have for you. Okay. New York City is an international waterway port. San Francisco is. Los Angeles is. Philadelphia is. Chicago is. Houston is. Boston is. Baltimore.
Well, Chicago is not a
is.
waterway port per se. It's more of an air, although you do have the Great Lakes.
Chicago's on the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes you can take all the way around up into the St. Lawrence Seaway and out to the ocean.
Huh. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Okay. Cleveland, same thing. Cleveland is exposed to foreign ships. So with ships from other nations come rats. Rats climb down the ropes, get on the docks. Okay. And the proliferation of rats and mice is astounding in terms of their babies that they produce. So
yeah, they're like rabbits.
So my question is, how can we not have hantavirus breaking out in all these cities across the United States with high rat populations?
Let me check this out.
Okay.
I've heard, let's see. I've heard that there were some in the U.S. here. I just don't remember what cities they were in, but they're trying to make it into a epidemic that later will become a pandemic.
Okay.
Here we go.
Well, here I'm going to share some information.
You showed the map. Oh wow, look at this.
Okay.
I don't want to accept cookies, dude. I love chocolate chip, but I'm not accepting your cookies. Oh my gosh, maybe later. There we go. Just click the maybe later button. Okay, this is what we got. I'm going to share my screen right quick.
Okay.
This is the hantavirus map. And you know what? I'm kind of curious as to when this website was started up, because I remember when Tiger and I covered FedNow, when FedNow was being pushed as like the kind of CBDC soft step to it. FedNow was a relatively new thing, but I looked and they created their Facebook page, not their Facebook page, but their X page, their Twitter page 10 years prior. That tells you that it's a plan. If you have something that's supposedly brand new, but you already had, you could see when someone creates their account, right? And I do that quite often. You and I both do for certain reasons, Levi. I know you do it as well, to dig out certain rats, if you will, to find out if they're legit or not. But yeah, I would like to know when this was created. Maybe I can check it out on what is it?
I'd like to know
the
what
Wayback
the website
Machine
is, because you have, I think you have a
it's hantavirusmap.com. And yeah, this seems to be like a problem that we didn't have, and now it's like they're pushing it out to be a pandemic. and I want to see something real quick. Let's just do this real time. Let's do this real time. I'm going to go to what is it? Wayback Machine. And I know it's called something else. It's called like something archives.org or whatever, but it usually redirects. I want to see how old this is because it should at least have a couple of polling. Okay, you go ahead and go while this is loading. It usually takes a while to load up, so I'll pull my stuff down.
No, you're fine. That's cool. I was just.
I don't want dead air time for the audio.
No, I understand. I'll mute my mic.
Well, no, I don't have anything else to say. I'm just saying that it's interesting. And let me just do this. I will throw this up one more time. Oh my God, it's so red. Yeah, 4 cases in all of Canada. Oh, look at the Southwest, 2 cases. Yeah. 5 cases in Mexico. 30 cases.
Go back to what ABC News Nightline said last Friday. Are we looking at the next pandemic?
Yeah, they're pushing this and these alarming colors of bright red. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, and a lot of these are emerging. Well, how do you know it's emerging? How do you know?
That's what I'm saying. Their data that they give is not matching up to what is actually happening. So the question is, okay, we've already proven tonight many of their lies.
And remember, let's consider the incubation period. If this was something that wasn't a problem before this cruise ship, or was a minimal problem that nobody was talking about, or maybe it's the exact problem we're looking at right now. Maybe it's the exact thing we're looking at right now, and the 2 people got sick and died, and a couple other people got sick from them. Let's just say that that's what happened. They went to a landfill, was bird watching at a landfill. Great pictures, right, of some banana peels and stuff like that with a beautiful bird. Whatever. So they get sick and they die, and then they're all of a sudden, this is the next pandemic. Well, there is no way that those 2 people created this map we're looking at, because the time has not elapsed for this to happen. So
that is correct.
So this is either made up, it's either made up, or it has already existed. So why is it such an emergency now? Because there is a vaccine out there, folks. Go get your vaccine, and then guess what? You're going to get a booster every year or every 6 months. It's all about money.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm done sharing. I need to get out of here soon.
No, you're fine. So the question is, okay, are the 2 vials being used? Are they spraying us with it? Are they activating it inside the CRISPR of those who have the Pfizer vaccine and they're getting sick by it? There are questions.
There are questions.
We can't say. I can't. Nobody can say either way. You can't. But there's something that's going on here that's not lining up, and this is why I said in the beginning of the show, okay, that the people who are out there on social media are directly responsible for the narrative that is being built, because now you have people. Now you have people, okay, who are doing videos of N95 masks, and they're telling people to mask up. They're telling people to social distance. And I saw one today, and I should have copied it, but I didn't, that said, wear your mask. And the government is now saying, and Fauci is now saying, that the social distancing goes from 6 feet to 7 feet.
Oh, some arbitrary.
You can't make this stuff up, folks. You can't make this stuff up.
Wait a minute. So they say they have said continually that it is very, number one, human to human transmission is extremely hard and rare, like a diamond. And you have to be either intimate with that person, share, a cup or a spoon or a fork, have sex, something like that, or be in a very confined area for a long period of time for it to even be possible for human to human transmission. So what's this 7-foot crap and masking going to do? Absolutely nothing. This is another COVID 2.0. That's what I think. I think they tried it with the measles, as I said before, and nobody bought it because we can still remember people, someone of my age and even younger than me can still remember people getting measles, and it was no big deal. It was a week or two off of freaking school so you could play your Nintendo,
I even think they tried this with the avian flu.
Yeah. Well, that was about getting stuff in our food. We know that. There was a couple motives, like Ashley says, they function stack these things. So but anyway, we do need to get out of here. I know it's getting late where Ashley
I just want to show this one little thing about New York City.
Let's do it.
This is from 2023. Okay. The number of rat sightings by borough. This is from the website Manrattan.
Manrattan, I love it.
Manrattan. That gathered the information.
I hope Billy Ray doesn't see this episode.
Okay. In the suburb of Bronx, there was just under 40,000 rats.
Is there like an app that you you press the button every like a clicker?
I don't know. I don't know if it's like San Francisco that has the poop map where you can
right.
You can put the record the poop on the scene on the streets. Brooklyn had 75,000. Manhattan had 55,000. Queens had 30,000, and Staten Island brought up the rear at less than 10, probably about 8,000 rats. Okay, so here we're well over 150,000 rats in New York City in 2023 alone. Why was there no hantavirus outbreak? Here are rat sightings per zip code in Manhattan.
Oh my gosh. You know what this reminds me of, Levi? I've got to say this. I was hanging out at this place. I talked on one of our shows about cruising the strip in Pinckneyville. You go from gas station to gas station. And we had this place called The Wall where there was a building tore down, but they were those connected kind of buildings. So there was just an empty, like a blank wall where the adjoining hardware store or whatever it was connected to that building they tore down. So we called it The Wall, and it was a gravel parking lot. And we used to park there and just, it was kind of like midway of the street strip, but there was a four-way there. And one day there was people out there with clickers. And I went out there, we're hanging out. It was kind of in the evening. I think they were wrapping it up for the day. And I went out there and talked to them. I'm like, what the heck are you guys doing out here? You're not even from this town. You're just sitting here in a chair clicking every time a car goes by. And they were paid to come out and keep count of how many cars came from each direction because they were thinking of putting a stoplight in. And they wanted to justify the traffic because it was a four-way where you have to go and the left yields to the right. You know how four-way flashing red works.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, most people can't do it right though. Even though
the last I want to show you, and I thought that this one was very, very funny, and I was surprised when I saw it.
Well, let me finish real quick. I wonder if New York has a job or a program to pay people to go out and look for rats and click a clicker. Like literally, how would they have these numbers? How would they have these? Anyway,
I know that Mandani is coming out with a program to deal with the rat population in New York City, and it has something to do with the sterilization of the rats, that they're going to give the female rats something that when the male and her copulate, that it infects the male rat. The male rat goes sterile. He can't have babies anymore.
This sounds a lot like Bill Gates mosquitoes. That's the same type stuff that they're doing with the mosquitoes. Yeah.
This one I brought out as a laugh to close the show out with. This is the rat to tax ratio. Okay. This shows you where the number of rats are compared to the taxes that people pay in New York City. And what I find funny is that Manhattan has the highest number of rats. That's where all the money is. So, folks, look.
Can we put DC? Can we put DC up as a comparison?
So, All right, folks. That's all I have. Okay. I've tried to bring you the truth. I've brought the receipts. Okay. The bottom line is, all right, these people with Hantavirus are lying to you.
They're
I've
drumming up
brought you,
fear. Yeah.
yeah, exactly what they're doing. I've brought you where it originated from, when it originated, when they discovered it, when they isolated it, and I've exposed to you, okay, the 1993 outbreak, which raises a question because the Army brought their patented vaccine out immediately after it. X-Files, Resident Evil video game, SARS in 2002, swine flu 2008, Ebola 2014, COVID 2020, Hantavirus 2026. They've been lying to you about a vaccine for it. They already have the vaccine. I showed you the article. We're working with Korea on it. Showed you the patent. They've already got it and they're producing it. Don't kid yourself. So, look, from my heart to yours, okay? If you haven't taken the COVID vaccine, if you stayed away from all vaccines, whatever you do, if they come at you to take the hantavirus vaccine, don't take it. Stay away from vaccines.
We're not
Stay away
giving
from.
we're not giving medical
I'm not.
advice. I have to say that.
Yeah, I'm not giving medical advice. You have to do what you have to do, but it's the same mRNA CRISPR DNA changing technology. I'll leave it there.
There you go. And pray on it. Use discernment. Yep.
So folks, I put my heart into this tonight. I know it went a little long. I'm not apologetic for it. Okay. I have brought you as much information, hard evidence as I could. If somebody finds something different, okay, or finds out more information, please email me. My email is there below my name. Okay. Please email it to me. All right. If I've made a mistake anywhere, I want to correct it. But I don't think I have. I've presented the information that they gave us. Not anybody's opinion, not anybody's conjecture. They're hard, cool facts. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Jason for having me on tonight. I really enjoyed it. I thank him for his time, his efforts, and the information he brought forward. I want to thank Ashley, who's been behind the scenes, and she's been
Thank you, Ashley.
taking your questions and what have you. Okay. To Dustin, I saw what you said about you've heard all this information before. What are we going to do about it? I think Jason and I are going to get into that once we bring the whole package together.
Right.
And we'll talk a little bit about what we can do. We want to present all the information and then we'll bring some ideas. But just know these evil miscreants, they own and operate everything, every alphabet agency, every judge, every DA from the federal level down to the state level, every legislator. They own it all. There's very little that can be done.
Yeah. And I do want to say, so same rat time, same rat channel next week and the following week. And I think that's going to carry me out into my vacation. And I will not be on Nights of the Storm for a couple weeks. So the lady's going to hold it down the fort. Yeah, so next week we're going to talk about the war, the Strait of Hormuz, the energy crisis. We're going to talk about link in shortages, lockdowns, what that's going to mean if we potentially get lockdowns for this virus. This is how it ties together. And then on the third week, we'll be talking about the banking and who's behind it all. And it's going to be interesting because Levi has different angles than I have. Done a lot more research on it. So I'll be learning along with the audience and absorbing this information. And I do want to, again, thank Ashley for being there. And I want to do shout outs before I close this out. So shout outs. She's been keeping track of who's been in the chat. We got in the live chat, which is quite a few people actually for a non-advertised show, other than a quick X shout out, Twix, I call it. So we had Junior Barner in there, first one in there. What's going on? iHandy, you can go see him at Substack, the iHandy Substack. Ryan Brady's in there. Nature Boy, you can catch Nature Boy on the Third Rail on Fridays. Just go to the Knights of the Storm website, to the Friends thing. You can actually go to the schedule, because he's on the schedule as well, and see what time he plays. Harry Hart left a $5 donation. Thank you, Harry. That was awesome. We are getting some donations now. That's kind of cool. Might be able to get some new equipment or something soon. Sweets was in there. Sweets dropped a link which is pinned to Doc's Discord. Actually, Ashley changed it to Doc's Discord, and we're gonna get to Doc in a second. Ghost Start was in there. What's going on? Ghost Start. Smoohaski was in there. Karen Carpenter, the lovely Lady of Liberty, host of the Knights of the Storm, and soon to have her own show. Adinga Ite My Baby was in there. Love that name. Theodore Kent. Theo, what's up, Theo? Hemp Car.
Was Karen there? Karen was there today? I didn't see her.
She's not in the background. She just jumped in the chat. She's had her hands full all day. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, Karen.
Yeah. Hemp Car was in there, left a little bit of a super chat, if you will, a rumble rant. Thank you for that. Greg Talent was in the house. Dustin Helm, Nostradamus. Always good to talk to Nostra. Pray for Nostra. Nostra took a spill on his two-wheel, excitement mobile, and got injured. So let's get some prayers out there for Nostra's quick healing. A little more damage than he thought there was. He told me today. So prayers. Doc Spoiler was in the house.
Sorry to hear that, Nostra.
Yeah. Doc Spoiler was in the house. And again, if you're in the Rumble chat, you can see a link to Doc's Discord, so you can get an invite to his watch-alongs. And on Saturday, he's going to be playing Buffalo Bill and the Indians. It's a 1976 Robert Altman film. And the Discord link, again, is posted. Weekend Jay Hunter, and then Name Lad 1234. And that's it. Any final thoughts there before we close out, Levi?
I want to thank everybody. I know it was a lot of information to bring forward. I hope that they enjoyed the show. I hope they learned some things about the show. I hope they can see the lies that were exposed tonight. I put my heart into this because I care about all of you. I really do. I don't want to see anybody hurt. I don't want to see anybody fall victim to this stuff.
You're a watcher on the wall, Levi. You're a watcher on the wall.
I sincerely pray for all of you and ask God to protect you. It breaks my heart what these people are doing to the babies, to the women, to the children, and to our pets. These evil miscreants have absolutely no conscience. They are seared. Yeah. They are wicked. They are evil. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Jason, for allowing me to be here. Thank you for allowing me to share. Ashley, thank you behind the scenes for doing what you've done tonight. We really appreciate it. And thanks. I look forward to the next one.
I do too. I'm really looking forward to it. And just a reminder before I close this out, tomorrow is the Angry Tiger's Den. And then on Thursday is Ashley's show, Think, Change, Repeat. You can find the schedule on thenightsofthestorm.com/schedule. And JJ has JJ. But anyway, that does it for tonight. That does it for tonight, folks. Remember to hold your ground, watch the enemy, improve the foxhole, and always look out for one another. Until next time, God bless.
Take care, everybody.
Built